Hello, here we go again. This is number 2. I think I'm learning a little bit about editing, so I'm getting there slowly. Hopefully you'll be able to see some of my paintings on Etsy under Hannah Matheson. I've added a new one, which is that one, but that one hasn't been sent to the printers yet, so it will be soon when I can afford to do it. It's quite interesting doing or filming yourself, because you don't realise how many irritating habits you have until you watch yourself filming. And I've noticed that on the last video I did, although I deleted it, I watched it and I thought, oh my God, I sniff all the time. So I'm chatting away and I go, so I'm going to try and avoid doing that. Yeah, it's quite fascinating learning to do this, and I'm really enjoying it. It's quite a creative thing, and I'm hoping that I'll get better at it and I'll be able to do a better job. It's quite cold today in Cornwall, hence the fire. And I don't know, I've been feeling quite introspective, I suppose. One of the main reasons is that I lost my dad in September of this year, September the 24th. And he was a very big influence in my life. Sometimes in a good way, sometimes not always. We used to clash quite a lot. We were very similar in temperament. I'm quite fiery sometimes, and so was he. Oh, I sniffed. Ah! It's not good. Anyway, I'm going to keep going. Oh, and here we are. My dog has just appeared. Hello. Are you sniffing? You're sniffing. Oh my God, we're both sniffing. This is Norman. This is Norman. Norman. He is a large Labradoodle. So you may hear him in the background now and again. And the cat's upstairs, I think. That's Bob. Almost sniffed. Oh, I'm really getting good at this. So, yeah. I lost my dad, and that makes you question your own mortality, doesn't it? When you were suddenly, I lost my mum in 1997, very unexpectedly, and that had a huge influence on my mental health. This time it's different. My dad had dementia, and I cared for him for quite a few years. And you really do, you lose the person before they die. You grieve twice. You grieve for the person you used to know. And we used to chat quite a lot and have lots of... It's Norman sniffing my phone. Hello. Yes, you're beautiful. Yeah, we used to have lots of philosophical chats and spiritual conversations. My dad was very interested in Helena Blavatsky, a famous Russian theosophist from the Theosophical Society, which was quite interesting. It was way too deep for me. I couldn't really get into it. I hope to one day I have all my dad's books. One day I might have the ability to concentrate long enough to absorb the information, and that's another problem that you have with chronic fatigue. It seems to give you a lot of brain fog, just difficulties focusing. Coffee. Yeah. Oh, have to move it because the dog will drink it if I'm not careful. Yeah, so I don't know, I'm quite a spiritual person. I've seen a few ghosts. And now you're going to think I'm mad, I suppose, but hey ho. Yeah, I used to have a dog in a house I lived in that was a ghost dog. I could feel it jump on my bed at night. And it would be when I was sort of just drifting off to sleep, I would feel the dog jump, land on the bottom of my bed and circle. And just keep circling until it was comfortable, and then there'd be a sort of a, I don't know, like a sort of settling thud. And you know, I never saw it, but I felt it. And yeah, when I used to live in a cottage with my parents in Cornwall, it was in the bottom of a valley, and we had a stream running down through the garden and a spring-fed pond sort of outside the kitchen. Very old cottage. It had been a mill. And one day, well, because we were in a valley, it was quite a dark kitchen. And we always had to have the lights on in the kitchen, even in the summer, because it was quite gloomy in there. And small windows. But we had the spotlights on. They were on along the beams, so we had quite bright spotlights in there. And my mum and I were having a cup of tea and just standing chatting. And we both saw at the same time something that resembled, if you ever watched Star Trek, where they used to have I think it was called the transporter, where they would all stand on these circular things and then they'd be all fuzzy and suddenly vanish. And we watched from one corner of the kitchen to the other in a sort of diagonal line, a human shape, shadow, that it was, you could see through it, but it seemed to be very like the things on Star Trek, and it just went right through the kitchen. Stop. And I have a really attention-seeking dog. Go and find your toy. Go and find your toy. So yes, so that was another ghost. We had other ghost encounters, which I'll probably mention some other time. So yeah, so I know my dad's around. I know he's not just gone for good. I've heard him call my name very distinctly, so I know he's there. But it you know, having a belief in the afterlife doesn't actually, you know, it's quite comforting, but it doesn't really help that much, because what you want is the physical person. You want to chat with them. You know, you want to talk about things. You want to laugh with them and talk about things that have happened in the past, things that you can't share with anyone else because it's your family. So yeah, so I'm dealing with loss, but yeah, when you get into your 50s, it's sometimes, you know, it's something you're going to have to encounter, isn't it? You can't, your parents don't live forever. So it's all part of the journey. Oh. So hopefully I've managed to edit some of my paintings into this second video. And if I haven't, hopefully you'll be able to see them on Etsy. So I will try. I'm going to perhaps try and put them on Instagram. I haven't really done Instagram very well, but I will do. And as I say, I will do some outside filming. I'll go around Cornwall and show you some really, really lovely places. And just because you're living alone, it doesn't really mean you need to be lonely, because there are so many things you can do when you are on your own that you can't do when you're living with someone. And by living with someone, I mean a partner. My son lives with me, but I don't see him very often, because he's working with his girlfriend. He's only young. So I spend a lot of my time alone, and I enjoy being alone. It's not as bad as you think it's going to be. It's really quite enjoyable to have your own space in the bed. You do things when you want to do them. Watch whatever you want on television. That's quite enjoyable. Don't have to put up with something you don't like. And you have a lot of headspace. You know, you're not sharing your space with someone that's not really committed to you, not really on your wavelength. You think sometimes someone is on your wavelength, but I think you can be married to somebody or perhaps living with someone for 20 odd years and never really know them. Do we ever really know someone? You might think you do, but not really. But being alone is quite enjoyable, I find. I've always been afraid of being alone in the past. Afraid that I couldn't manage, afraid I wouldn't know how to deal with things. And now I know I'm really quite good at dealing with things if I have to be. And I'm a lot stronger than I thought. Life does that to you. By the time you end up in your 50s, you've had an awful lot of life experience. So, hopefully you won't be so naive. You might be wiser. But the main thing is that you have good friends, and I have really good friends. One very good friend. She works on a farm. Well, she runs a farm. And without her, I think I wouldn't have survived the last 20 years. I really, really wouldn't have survived them. So friends mean a lot. Nurture your friends. So, before my dog, are you going to sing? I hope you're not going to start singing. He doesn't sing, he just grumbles. This is the grumbler. Grumble, grumble, grumble. Right, so it's time to go. I'm going to try and make another... I'm going to try and make another video, perhaps when I've given the dog something to chew, just to keep him occupied. So, hopefully you'll come back and see me again. And hopefully you'll subscribe. I don't even know if I've got any subscribers. Probably one if I'm lucky. But That's life. Bye.